Hello, human peoples. You're listening to the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. To support us and gain access to great exclusive podcasts like Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and our latest show, Spiel Boys, head over to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. We do game streaming, movie nights with our patrons every Friday night, and you can even commission your own podcast about anything you want. Literally anything, within reason, and we have to do it. You are quite frankly out of excuses not to go visit patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Hypecast mit Tom Reimann und David Bell.
So you need like 15 seconds of horse shit,
Okay.
right? And this counts. This counts as that horse shit.
I just pride myself on never doing loose horse shit. I'm more like a serial, really tightly edited, This American Life type.
I respect that because like when you have guests on and you don't have a clear like, okay, here we go, welcome,
Yeah.
like they get thrown off and yeah. Anyway, welcome to a brand new episode of Hypecast, the show where we get hyped about stuff and things. I'm one of the co-hosts, David Bell.
Is this
And you,
still the horse
sir.
shit, or have we started?
If we started,
Now I'm super disorientated.
I'm so sorry.
I'm Michael Swaim. Thanks for having me.
Hi, Mike. Thanks for being on.
Yeah. I'm not
How are
actually, and I don't actually pronounce that word that way.
Wait, what?
It's jokes. It's jokes. Oh, don't
Fuck,
worry.
man.
It's an in-joke between me and the audience. They get it.
Okay, because as we established before we started recording, we're both tired.
Yeah, unless you're still feeling the effects, then you're not. You've crashed.
No,
Okay,
I'm
great.
crashed.
Great,
Yeah.
great.
I am just a tired little man, but I'm in a good mood. Does that count towards something? Like I'm hyped. Like you can be hyped and tired, right?
Yeah.
And we're definitely hyped. Mike, thank you for being my co-host today, for being my Tom.
Shh. The baby's getting hype.
What you been up to? How are things?
I didn't say that for that reason, but the main thing I keep saying is we're having a baby fairly soonish. Me and Abe as a stunt for Small
Yeah.
Beans. No, you know what I mean. But what else is new? I told you the worst thing before before we started rolling.
Yeah.
But if you're asking me to plug, oh boy, that I can do as if it were second nature by now.
Yeah.
Which is to say, the aforementioned Small Beans is my podcasting and sometimes sketch and other stuff outlet. You can find it by searching Small Beans where you get your pods or heading to patreon.com/smallbeans, which you can join for free. Although if you pay, you'll get double the stuff. And if you head to the shop tab, patreon.com/smallbeans/shop, you can find an audiobook of a novel I wrote, comic book I wrote. We have t-shirts. There's one other major thing. I'll be dropping a rap album soon, but there's one other thing, but I forget it.
I mean, so like you're at Cracked. You're doing Cracked stuff still, right?
Well, that's my day job. I mean, yeah,
Have people heard about that?
I
Have people heard of
freelance
cracked.com?
full time. So, I mean, if you're just looking for my stuff, follow me on Twitter or there's other things you can do. But yeah, I'm full-time freelance now. So I have a 1-900 hot dog column. I'm doing multiple videos a week on the Cracked YouTube channel. If that excites you, I'm bringing old faces back. I just taped a show with Katie Willert. Trying to get Greg Burke back for a video games show. Stuff like that.
Nice. You'll be popping up with some more news. You're doing a lot of our edits. And hopefully more in the future, which is a fucking delight.
I'm writing for a YouTube channel called How to Beat, if you want to check that out. I have a really good 40-minute feature coming out on IGN soon about FromSoft and their development of their combat system. Look for all these things.
You're God. You're everywhere.
I'm trying to do one of everything. I'm working on a new thing that I haven't told anyone about, and I guess I still won't. But we'll talk about it later as friends.
Can you mention what's coming out on Small Beans that involves me? Or is that a surprise?
Sure. No. I hope people look out for the Small Beans Halloween Spooktacular Dungeons and Dragons 10 to 15 part miniseries. Basically, literally because I wanted to play D&D one more time before my kid comes, because it's such a frivolous. I won't do it until my kid's old enough to play D&D, because I like to DM. And it's only really fun for me if I DM from scratch. Like, I like writing. Surprise. So I like building the world from scratch, and I like non-traditional D&D worlds. So it's a non-traditional, spooky themed for Halloween month D&D game with Abe, Star, Hodge, and Dave. And that'll launch on Halloween Day on the Small Beans feed. It's called Cretins and Costumes and Cretins. That's what it's called.
As of recording this, we've done one session. I had so much fucking fun. It's one of those things where you're like, when it's over, you're like, wait, can we go for like 6 more hours? Because that's what D&D is in my head.
We usually did it on a Saturday for roughly 8 hours, growing up. Yeah. Being
DM'd by you is a fucking dream.
Oh, you're so
a dream. Sweet. Yeah, I feel so spoiled. Like I've only played. Well, all right, that's not true. I've played several. So far, official D&Ds I've played. I believe the DMs have been you, Tom, and Robert Evans. So I feel so spoiled.
Wow.
Yeah, where I'm like, I'm getting such top notch DMing.
You've never had an enthusiastic amateur friend, which I have had many, growing up, where you're like, yeah, they're not a good writer. Let's just have fun and fuck around.
Yeah.
Yeah, you haven't had that. A mid DM can be.
No, I am spoiled.
Yeah. Good. You deserve it.
Thank you. You like movies?
Oh, they're back, I heard from
they're
my doctor of movies.
Yeah. They're perpetually back.
Yeah.
We have some good trailers.
Hell yeah.
For this one. This is I think our last one before Halloween. Not that matters.
I forget, do you guys on this show, do you do an all horror Halloween episode?
So spoilers for We Just Watched Monday, we did that. Me and Tom recorded it just an hour ago, where we just spur of the moment decided to do that instead of just cover the movie we were going to cover. So yeah, there will be a thing where we sort of sweep up, like, here's the horror movies we didn't cover, the horror movies that Tom wasn't there to cover, and just kind of talking about stuff like that. Do you have a favorite horror movie this year?
Not off the top of my head. That's, especially because I just listened to I rarely have the self-control to stop one in the middle, but I did stop because Blink Twice sounds good based on your review. So 8 minutes in, I stopped that episode. I do really want to watch that. I'll probably watch it with my buddy online next week. So I reserve judgment, mainly because I can't think of anything really, really stellar that knocked me out. What surfaced in your conversation? I'll probably go, oh yeah, that one. That's my pick.
I will say that this year was interesting for horror in that there were no pure horror movies, meaning that I liked a lot of movies.
You mean like
horror
only
movies?
White people in it, the way you like. Yeah.
No, I liked a lot of horror movies, but a lot of them were kind of weird and funny. Meaning that I can't think of a movie this year that scared me. And maybe I'm getting too old for that. A movie I just watched is Mads on Shudder. I talked about it on Hypecast. It's a zombie movie that's all made to look like a single shot.
That's right. Yeah.
And all I'll say,
made
and I talk
to
about
look
it more
like chocolate flavored syrup.
Exactly. What I'll say is that it's weird that a zombie movie can still impress me. And that movie impressed me. It has some genuinely amazing sequences.
Nice.
And
that
I recommend
speaks to, I think, themes that will come up today.
Yes. But first, let's thank some producers. I'll start. Big old thank you to @NerdNumbers. Thank you very much. Thank you to Zero Charisma. Thank you to 2001 A Space McNulty Odyssey. Thank you to A Turd Curdling Jump Scare. Thank you to Aaron Burser. Thank you to AJ. Thank you to Andrew. Mike deserves more hype, McGuire. Thank you to Andrew. How demands a single act of kindness.
Let me jump in here, Dave. Thank you to As King 7. Thank you to Bullet Carrot. No, I'll stop.
I like
out
the
of due
bit.
respect. It's a fine bit. It's a fine enough bit. Ballet Carrot Karate Hulk.
Thank you.
You to Bit 20. Well, this one I gotta just slaughter because it's impossible not to.
Yep.
Bolt to Elvis.
Nice.
Thank you to Bootler Boot Lesson.
Thank you.
Thank you to Brian Who Tomkinos. Thank you to Brock Koué Loves the Meat Millie.
Thank
you to Burrito Says Water Gym Sunscreen Kung Fu Ska Self Care. Thank you to By Jason Pargent's highly controversial new book. I'm starting to worry about this black box of doom out now.
Woo! All right. Let's talk trailers, starting with The Electric State. This is the movie that the Russo brothers managed to make before being re-swallowed by Marvel.
Oh, what are they doing for Marvel?
I think they're doing the next Avengers films, which not a bad. I mean, good choice with Marvel.
Oh.
The Russo brothers.
They're doing more of those, huh?
Yeah. Well, here's what I'll
Okay.
say: they did a great job. Like the Marvel movies they've done have been very good.
Oh, sure.
Dare I say they're some of the best.
It's all you heard in my voice was standard Marvel fatigue. Russo
Yes.
brothers. I don't know who would do better. Those were the good ones. So
I do want to talk about that though in reference to this because I'm conflicted. So this is based off a book, and like I never read the book, but the art has been all over the internet.
sure. I'm sorry.
And
I do. You just deflated me because I do super love when you're like, oh, it's not a franchise and it got a huge budget and it's like magical realism. And then
Right.
just to find out it's based on a book is fine, but that's like the only way that ever happens anymore.
100%.
We only mine things. We don't build cars in this country anymore or what have you.
When you think about it, it was always rare, but it used to be less rare.
Yeah, stuff has always been based on books to a insane degree for sure.
Yeah, but we did have movies like, I don't know, Independence Day, where it's like, that was just a script.
Yeah.
Just came from, But
Blade Runner. Was that a book? Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? Damn.
Oh, right. And like everything came from, Indiana Jones was highly inspired by other things.
Ideas are... Oh, wow. My mind is blown. Shit. All this shit's based on other shit.
Everything comes from everything.
Hollow. My whole life.
Yep. This, again, I really like what the Russos have done for Marvel films, but I can't help but feel like they never got a chance to find themselves creatively. And what I mean is like they did TV, they did Arrested Development, they did Community, and then they went like almost right from doing TV to doing Marvel films, which they made some very good movies that are beautiful looking and very creative. I don't want to like downplay that, but they've been very firmly in this like machine that I feel like watching this trailer, I was like, I kind of wish it looked more creative. Does that make sense?
I mean, I feel like it's super creative. Maybe because I'm not super familiar with the artist, and they're obviously one of the reasons they picked it is this artist. Maybe they're blowing up in its numbers as well, but I mean, they're undeniably talented and the images are arresting. I think most people would look at the art and go, yeah, that's really cool. The artists that they're wrapping it around is certainly a pretty fresh look and vibe that I've seen things like it, like in the doc I wrote, Ron English. It's reminiscent of that. Is it Simon Stalanog? Because that's who it looks like to me. The guy who did the art for that. The loop is.
It is.
Oh, okay. Then it is what I thought it was, and I like that guy, so I like it.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I'm excited for this. I guess it's hard to put my finger on it. It feels a little too like the art that I've seen felt a little grittier, I guess, and this feels like it's more of like broad Hollywood. And again, I haven't read the book, so maybe that's what the book is.
Loop seemed more trying to aim at a serious adults, whereas this seems more like I mean, it's just because Pratt and the fact that there's a big, broad stadium version of Champagne Supernova, as you put in the doc. I don't know. I just
holy shit.
We both had the reaction. I can't exactly parse why, but I rolled my eyes really hard, and it looks like so did you. Makes me have shades of like Forever War, Tomorrow War, whatever that one was.
Yeah, it's sort of I'm trying to think of good comparisons. Like it all right, so a good comparison to me is like, remember how Pixels, that movie, was based off a short? And the short was like really creative and visually stunning, and then they made it like this broad Adam Sandler comedy. That's like not to that extent, but that's what I'm getting, where I look at the art and I go like, this feels like it could be like a Gilliam film, you know, like something really like weird and moody and fucked up and cyberpunk. And this feels like we're doing like broad comedy jokes for international audiences, where like we got Chris Pratt there, we're having the robot fall down. It's a little more brightly lit than the art. And so like there's just something about it that feels like they took something that in my mind was a grittier. It
changed them. The system changed their rhythm or vibe or whatever. I mean by choice or unconscious, whether consciously or unconsciously, there's this kind of ratcheting effect. And I think unless they pull a Dave Chappelle and like radically break for like, we're going to do a, $200,000 movie to make a fucking point, I think
that's kind of what
they're used to making this kind of movie now, so they're going to continue on that course.
Right. I kind of
because of the pressures of this career also is like, especially at this time, if you have a successful formula, everyone seems expendable right now in Hollywood. So if you have the formula and you have your hooks in the audience, I can see the appeal of not screwing with it too much.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it. I kind of hope this was more of a one for me situation, and maybe it still is for them, but it's still studio friendly or the trailer's misleading as is always possible. Possibly, yeah. Yeah, we're just going on the trailer, and like I'm still excited for it, but this is like their first big movie outside of Marvel, and it just to me feels like it could have easily been a Marvel film, but by this trailer at least.
Yeah, it could have been a Marvel if Marvel had giant, basically the Simpsons Halloween where the logo signs come alive. Yeah. If Marvel had that as an issue and they adapted it, it would feel like this.
Right.
Just Don't Look, that one.
Yeah, with Paul Anka.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, it'll sound better coming out of Paul Anka.
I should also say though is like they did help create the Marvel look and feel, right? Like it is like when you look at this and go like it feels kind of like a Marvel film, it's like, well, they did establish what a Marvel film feels like to some extent. So I don't know.
No. That's why maybe they're in this course because like Michael Bay seems to have chosen that rut. He loves it. So maybe it could be cart before the horse, and they defined the Marvel voice, and they are the people who set up that system that we're fatigued by, and so they'll continue to feel that way for sure. Could be possible.
I am excited. I don't know. I am curious about this one.
I love.
We didn't say what it's about, but it's.
I always am interested in what are the people who happen to have access to the most money and talent, like the most talent money can buy to make movies. What's it look like? Got to see that. The biggest show in town. It just feels like one of those.
It does, especially when it does feel like, in this case, the Russos probably had like a lot of freedom, like they've earned that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm just curious to see what that looks like. And Chris Pratt, I don't know, he's fine. I know there was a lot of backlash with him. But
he's straight up fine, like Glenn Powell. They're both acceptable to put in movies.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to
Yes.
walk out on a Glenn Powell,
No, I like Glenn.
but that's about
I
the
like
limit
Glenn's
of my
films.
love for him.
Any other thoughts on this one?
No.
All right. It's about robots, by the way. It's like robots,
Yes.
the future.
But
Watch
if you
the
know that
trailer.
artist, the robots are cooler looking than your average robots. He's talented.
Yeah. It's one of those aesthetics that it's like, it feels new, meaning that, like, you know, we're all sick of the Fallout aesthetic, or rather I am, where I'm like, yeah, I've seen it. This
We're like,
feels like an
"Ah,
aesthetic.
A new sci-fi thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels
New
similar
sci-fi
to things.
vibe. It feels
Yeah.
similar but fresh. It feels very minimalist. It feels very, I don't even know if I'm getting his ethnicity right, but it feels like Swedish to me or Norwegian, very like gray and minimalist, and it's beautiful.
It does. It feels very Swedish. I don't even know what that means. It's like
But
how
it does,
H.R.
right?
Giger, you look at
Yeah.
that and you go, that feels German.
Totally.
You want to talk about this next one? The Legend of Ochi?
Legend of Ochi, sure.
This is A24 doing, I don't know, E.T.?
Yeah, I mean, I guess E.T., speaking of fresh, iconic designs, I don't yeah, it's rare. I guess he's kind of Grogu-y, but he's like Grogu in a circus carnival mirror. I feel like E.T. actually remains a very bold design that plays the line between cute and gross looking. And
Yes.
my big problem with Ochi is the same problem I have with things like Quiet Place and 8,000 Meters, which I believe that's what the new one's called. Like, all monsters are this brown panther-like reptile thing now, and all cute animal sidekicks are Nicks from Star Wars Outlaws. They're all this cute little furry whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm just bored of it. But I do love how it seems to be very Scavengers Rainy in that it's very concerned with how weird alien ecosystems work. That's cool.
Yeah, that is cool. It's so I am curious because this is it's about a world where it's run, or there's all these forest creatures called the Ochi, and this is a baby version. So I'm curious to see what the adults look like, if they're terrifying in some way.
Sure.
Because the premise is that, like, this girl befriends this baby, and that's clearly adorable and harmless, but everybody around her is like, kill that thing, kill it now. So I have to assume the adults are fucking terrifying. But in the trailer, it's very funny because it's just like, obviously
Yeah.
that thing is cute. Obviously, everybody's like, ew. It's like, no,
Yeah.
that thing's fucking adorable. It's just fun. I love that A24. Like, I feel like they have a little more money now. You know, they can sort of flex.
Right.
And this feels like their attempt of making like a broad family film, and it still feels vaguely haunting. Like I don't know. It feels like there's going to be something horrifying in it that they're hiding.
Yeah. Interesting, because the trailer never took that turn where they played this bad music. Like,
Right.
you know how trailers will often, with horror especially, go like, surprise, it's rom-com plus horror, it's whatever plus horror halfway through the trailer. This one, I didn't get that vibe, but I would not be surprised for sure.
I think what it is,
Yeah, go ahead.
is the vaguely. So it feels like vaguely like folktale in the way that, you know, folktales tend to be very dark. In the setting.
Yeah. Or we're fascinated with, let's go back to the OG roots when it was disturbing and you
Right.
wouldn't tell it to your children anymore.
And then I think the big one for me is the presence of Willem Dafoe. Because-
Okay. Yeah.
He doesn't need to be in a family film. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't need to be in. He's been choosing nothing but fucked up things.
Dude,
So
he
I'm
doesn't
like-
need to do anything to secure his legacy or his place in history or anything. He did it. He crushed it, as well as becoming famous in the industry for having a huge penis. Like, he Milton Berled it, and
Right.
he's the best. It was the moment in the rundown where you're like, wait, Christopher Walken is in this? Because that's that. I'm going to watch the movie. I'm sold. He hasn't missed in so long.
He hasn't. And
Yeah.
so, like, and he seems to be kind of a fucked up guy in this. There's also something unsettling to me about the fact that, like, so when you think about this movie without watching the trailer, when did you feel like it was set?
What do you mean without watching the trailer?
Like, all right, having watched it without like going back and watching it.
Oh.
Like just by memory, when do you feel like this was set?
I thought it was like Steamboat Willie era, like the 30s or 40s, heightened 30s or 40s.
Right.
How off am I?
In my head, it was like medieval.
Oh.
Because Willem Dafoe wears armor in it, and it's this island.
That
but
glossed
like,
over me. I missed that.
There's like 90s cars in the trailer.
Okay.
And there's a convenience store.
I mean, it feels like a cartoon fable. So, right, it's almost impossible to put a pin on the date.
Right, and I think it's supposed to be fairly timeless. Yeah, I just think it's going to be really fucking weird.
Yeah.
It's I don't know, Willem Dafoe, man. What are you doing in that armor? And Finn Wolfhard's on a horse.
Yeah. Can I say my little thing I stared at the doc for too long to come up with?
Yeah.
How darn hard would a wolf fin if a darn hard wolf could darn? Meaning to sew clothing back together.
Wait, is finning a thing?
No, wolf fin. So the idea is that a wolf with a hard on is wolfing down Finn Wolfhard while darning socks. How darn hard would a wolf fin if a darn hard wolf could darn?
Got it.
Great.
Oh my God. Yeah, that should be the new one. They should say that instead. Finn Wolfhard.
We got it.
Has he stopped aging?
Yeah,
because he's been 20 for
Dick Clark
10
robot.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get it. Everybody wants him to stay at this age, but like he's going to have to be 30
as a
at some
group,
point.
we're manifesting that he can't get older.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm into this. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who made this. I looked him up and they didn't do anything I've seen. I'm just super suspicious of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. The Monkey. The full trailer, I think, or full teaser for The Monkey.
Mm-hmm.
This is Oz Perkins doing the Stephen King short story adaptation. Mike, would you like to use this moment to state your case when it comes to long legs?
Sure. Well, it was the opposite of the Willem Dafoe. It for me, when I see from the director of Longlegs pop up a third of the way through the trailer, my Willem Dafoe retracts into my body and I'm out.
Right.
And that's just because I found it to be the cheesiest, most derivative, overwrought, overrated film of the year, pretty much, in terms of versus the buzz it got. And it didn't impact me what Oz Perkins is like because I didn't know anything about him before going into Longlegs. But since then, he's said stuff like, I don't even watch horror movies. And I think I made, one of the top horror movies. And just in my opinion, Silence of the Lambs, You Are Not. I could break it down. I walked out of that movie ranting at my wife, like I could do a podcast solo on the reasons why, because it's like when we were at Cracked and didn't like a script. Like my reasons are mathematical and nerdy.
Right.
But I'm not going to. And I'll just say that Spaghetti City is a great name and concept for a restaurant. I would eat a Spaghetti City.
Oh, yeah. It's like the old spaghetti factory.
And I also feel like it made me realize that that monkey is kind of the original Final Destination in a way. It's the horror thing. I did read it growing up, and it's the horror thing that first introduced, at least me, I'm sure something may have done it before, to the concept of you're just doomed, and that takes the form of an invisible Rube Goldberg machine that conspires to murder you.
That was my question because I hadn't read it. So the monkey is just cursed, right? Like anybody who comes into contact with it, I assume, dies in some horrible way.
Yeah, the monkey puts the evil eye stink on you, and you're not going to have a good time after that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I've talked about it. I loved Longlegs, but I understand the frustration of not liking something that people are all up on. You know what I mean? So I absolutely get that frustration. I'm curious about this because, as I keep saying, the director of Oddity and Caveat specifically makes movies with cursed items in it. And it's just funny to me that they're not making this. But like, also, did you watch any other Oz Perkins movies, The Black Coat's Daughter, or fucking Gretel and Hansel?
Nope, neither of those. I watched The Black Phone, Dave.
Well, that's not.
Does that help?
No.
Okay.
They tend to make very, I would argue, pretty serious or like slow burn type horror. And so I guess I'm really curious about this because you mentioned Final Destination. This seems like it's just straight up silly.
Well, The Monkey is a short story in an anthology. And so there's room to stretch its legs. And the trailer, even, I forget the exact narrator line, but it even draws attention to, and I do think the clips we saw at the end when they start to cascade by really quick support this. And some of them, I was like, hat tip, that is conceptually fucked up. Really focused on, almost in like a Friday the 13th way, you're gonna see like the kills are gonna be wicked awesome, guys. It seems focused on that more than Longlegs was, for sure.
Right, that's just so totally different than other things he's done. That
In
I'm
a
like,
fun way. He's like, these people are gonna get fucked up.
Which I love me a Final Destination, so
totally. The sheet of glass falling and the just pushing the
God.
dude.
On that little boy as he as he runs towards pigeons. It's the funniest death. It's definitely the best death in the whole series. So good. Yeah, I mean, I hope it's that. You know, that's all I need from this.
Yeah.
Speaking of other adaptations, our next trailer is for Wolfman. 2 words.
Wolf, space, man.
Yeah. This is Lee Winnell, who did The Invisible Man, which was, of course, another Universal monster remake, reimagined. That movie was very unique in that it's kind of surprised everybody, I think.
Didn't vibe as much with me as Upgrade, but I thought it was good. Like, I watched it and went, that was good.
Yeah, Upgrade, he also did.
But Upgrade, I went, oh, man! Like, I loved Upgrade.
Me too. Upgrade was one of those where it was just such a pleasant surprise because at that point he had only directed one of the Insidiouses, and like I think that was just like dipping your toes in the water, you know. And he's mostly an actor. Like he's in Saw. I think he's one of the guys. One of the guys. Yeah. And so I was so pleasantly surprised by Upgrade. And then I like The Invisible Man. It's all to say that I have a lot like
I liked it fine. Yeah.
Yeah, at this point I'm like, well, statistically I'm gonna like this. It's gonna be very good. And I say that because the trailer hasn't really offered me much. Does that make sense?
There's a couple pulses of, I mean, it's far from my top priority, but there's a couple pulses of transforming from human to wolf that look truly awesome and new. Yeah. Like you can see the bones shifting under his face. I'm like, that's cool. In any Wolfman movie, right? You want to see the new state-of-the-art guy changing into wolf effect.
That's sort of, like ever since, American Werewolf in London.
Yeah, the stretchy face where the snoot comes out.
What really seems to promise a lot to me is the psychological stuff that seems to be in this. There's a scene where someone's talking to him and he just can't understand them. And I was like, oh, that's a really good idea.
He's getting wolf brains.
Yeah, the idea of showing someone turn into a wolf from their brain perspective, like that the world looks different and it starts sounding different. I was like, that's a really good idea.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this was one where like, after Invisible Man, this might have been dumped on them. You know what I mean? Where they're like, do Wolfman next. You did so good.
Yeah.
And there's this pressure
Universal's
to like reimagine
trying to
it.
obviously use those IPs over and over, and they'll never give up on that.
Yeah.
Have you seen Altered States?
No.
Okay.
The more I talk about this trailer, the less like I like when I said this didn't offer me much. Now that I'm thinking about it more, I'm like, no, it offered me plenty. Honestly, like it I'm pretty
I mean, it
psyched
offered
for
the
this.
premise that it seems like a straightforward remake that is going to probably try and be innovative in its maneuvers and tricks and such, but it's straight up just that someone is the Wolfman. It's not reinventing the wolf.
No, and I think I guess that's what's because it seems like the only dynamic that might be in it is that he, there's obviously
You're talking about if it does a Jordan Peele, what would the metaphor be?
right, and I feel
this
like
is
the
my issue with
metaphor
Wolfman
is,
as a monster. I feel like
Right.
zombie. There's so many metaphorical ways you can skin it that are interesting. Whoever you think is a sheep, right? You fucking robots. You're zombies in
Right.
this. Vampires, like whoever you think is seducing and corrupting the youth, you can cast as vampires. Wolfman really lends itself to, when humans get angry and aggressive and their inner animal or id comes out, they have the capacity for great violence. That's just boring or it's just too
We've just seen it.
straightforward to me.
It's oh, daddy is different at night. Like there's maybe like an alcoholism idea here, and I think it's just
I like mummies because they can't represent anything. You're like, what does that mummy mean?
they just represent weird freaks.
Yeah.
And it's just funny that Upgrade is about a guy not having control over his body, and then the Invisible Man is about a universal monster being reimagined to be about like abuse, and this could potentially
like
be
a
both
stalker.
of those things. Yeah, because that was the secret of Invisible Man, is that nobody really thought much about that premise. And
But
it was like
flight and invisibility can be metaphors for many things. That's
Right.
what's cool about those. Yeah.
and the idea of like, what an actual mad scientist is? It's this guy. It's not some mustache twirling guy. It's like a guy terrorizing his ex. And so like I think that's all to say the bar is high for this, I think, with expectations. But honestly, if it's just a really solid werewolf movie, that's good with me,
Okay.
I don't know. Again, he's done such good movies that I'm like, fuck it.
Sure.
As long as I'm having fun with it.
That's on brand for you.
Yeah. Yeah. When is this coming out? Do you know? I'm gonna
No,
look.
absolutely not.
Yeah, you know what?
Dates? No, those don't sink
I
in
don't
from watching
care
the trailer.
either.
I didn't say I don't care, but there's no way I'm going to pull that.
All right. No, I mean, I don't care enough. Okay, it's coming out January. It's a January movie.
Same as my baby.
Ooh.
Maybe I'll be a Wolfman.
I was going to say you should name them Wolfman. Wolfman. Yeah.
John Wolfman.
Love Hurts.
Love smarts. Is that really the lyric? Love smarts?
I don't
love
know,
wounds
man.
and Mars? Love scars. Love scars.
Scars. Smarts
Thank
would
you.
be
Okay,
very
smarts
funny.
would be so dumb and funny, but it's not that. Yeah. I mean,
Ki Hoi Kwan.
Ki Hoi Kwan, what a fucking talk about a renaissance, or, so fun. Of all the people that could come back in a big way and have a second act to their career, it's fun to watch him do that.
Yeah, legit. This movie was made by a stunt coordinator, so I think it's a straight up action film. It appears to be about like a guy he's trying to lead a normal life, but then his past comes back to haunt him, and he's like some sort of hitman. And the twist is he's really nice, like a Ki Hoi Kwan type. This looks like it could be legitimately a good action film. I feel like it's going to fall through the cracks a little bit. You know what I mean?
I think it has a ceiling on it, again, for me, just because the premise, like zombies are tough to reskin in a way that's going to really light up my brain. And I think so is Guy used to be, nobody or what have you. Guy used to be secret agent, and now he has to do it again.
Yeah.
And like mashing that up with he's nice. That's like a B to me hook. Yeah, I'll see it. It all comes down to the execution, because John Wick is nothing but vibes and execution. But then I just trust that team to invent stuff like I'm going to break his jaw with a book, I'm going to kick him with a horse, and I'm like, that's so cool.
Right.
So if that can get to this level where it's just so cool, great. But I will wait for people to tell me whether it achieved that.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's going to be a legitimately good action film, but I'm just I'm so happy that Ke Huy Quan, like you said, the Renaissance, he's back. I do feel like his career right now is probably his agent, whoever, handing him scripts and being like, what's the character? And he's like, it's like a nice guy, like a really nice guy. Okay, well, what's this one? It's like a really nice guy. And I just want him to play a villain. You know what I mean? Like,
but if you're looking at it from his perspective, even this is an amazing opportunity. Although it's funny that he kind of had the same opportunity in Everything Everywhere All at Once. But for a guy who's playing nice guy comedy lead, he's existing in a fun postmodern time where he gets to train and do wire work and stuff, which is like Will Ferrell's not doing that. That's fun.
Oh, yeah. And honestly, it is his type. Like, if you think about him as a child actor, that's kind of the role he'd always played.
Action
was kind of like a nice, a very sweet character who's badass. Like, that's kind of what he goes for.
Or at least involved
who's like kind of
in
funny,
stunt-driven adventure-y. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm just so curious to see, like, what would he be as a villain? What would he be as not a nice guy? Or, like, play it like a nice guy but be doing bad things, which is kind of this. But
yeah, he'd bring something different still, but the only thing I can connect it to is Chiwetel Ejiofor in Serenity, which I was like, oh, polite villain, so like terrifying to me.
Yeah.
I don't kill children. Yeah. I do. I love that moment.
Yeah, I want to see more of him. But again, like, if this is what he wants, it's what he wants. Wait, did you say Serenity? Serenity, the
Firefly movie.
Okay, yeah, not the Matthew McConaughey Matrix.
That was my
movie.
first introduction to Chiwetel Ejiofor, and my mind was blown.
He is really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess I have no other thoughts on this. It looks good.
Yeah.
The Brutalist. This one threw me off. This is like, so it's a big epic. It's 3.5 hours. And like, I think everybody on the festivals are talking about it.
Pass. Not because that's too long, but because that's too long for what it is.
Yeah. It's got Adrian Brody. It's got Felicity Jones. It's got Guy Pearce. It feels like a real like megalopolis, like this epic.
Feels like a Phantom Thread. Feels like it's enough with the great men. I feel like there's an upswing lately of people going, yeah, Ayn Rand inspired it. And I'm like, I thought we got over that dude. Dude. I want, as I said in the doc, I wish we could ban architecture as a metaphor.
Right.
Period. End of sentence. Let's not do that for 20 years and then you can do it again.
Yeah. But I mean, and the trailer is like, I like the side scrolling. I hadn't seen a trailer do that.
Sure.
And it's like about how big and epic it is. And it feels like it's leading up to something. And it felt like I was supposed to know who this guy was. So I looked him up to find out he doesn't exist. And that's what really threw me off. This movie is about a architect who escapes Nazi Germany and goes to America. And they show like the Statue of Liberty, and they set it up like, oh, this guy must have built something really important that we know about. And no, it's a fictional person. And it spans 30 years of his life.
It's like a very serious, like The Pianist, but made up, which changes your orientation to it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so like, I'm kind of where you are with this, where I'm like, I don't know if I want to see that. It feels like a biopic.
I'm like,
and I kind of hate
3.5
biopics.
hours. That sounds like a slog to me personally.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like Chaplin if Chaplin didn't actually exist, where it's like, why are we seeing 30 years of this guy's life that we've made up? You know, like, or like Oppenheimer, where it's like, but he didn't, I don't know who this guy is. Why do I care? You know, like, what a weird thing to do.
Oppenheimer's made up? I knew it.
Oppenheimer's made up, yeah. But it presents itself like there's something really important about this person. And I just, as far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong, I looked up the guy and there's another person with the same name, but like the Wikipedia of this says it's a fictional architect. So I'm like, okay.
Is the guy with the same name an architect? Could you verify that?
No.
Okay. Then
Yeah.
I would assume it's just some guy.
It's Laszlo Toth, I believe. There's a bunch of symbols on top of the letters where I'm like, I don't know what that, but there's a Hungarian geologist with that name.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I would rather see a biopic of a Hungarian geologist.
Yeah.
Sounds fascinating. Especially
Here's
if it
what
was
I'll
a breezy
say.
82 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Fuck it. There is a market in movies that seem like biopics but aren't, because Tar was really good. And I remember watching the trailer for that being like, oh, I guess this is like a historical person or something, only to learn that they did not, in fact, exist. But that was a great movie. So I need more. I need more before I'm going to watch 3.5 hours.
Right. Agreed.
All right, next one. The Creep tapes.
The Crepes.
Mike, have you seen Creep?
Okay, I'll go through my, I don't know why. I actually, again, can't parse fully why this is my gut reaction, but I saw Creep. It was shot in one of my hometowns because my parents, were divorced and we went back and forth. In fact, I was walking around the lake in my hometown, which is an obscure mountain town in Southern California area, at night, just because I was visiting my folks. And I saw giant spotlights and floaters in the lake and platforms. And then I saw a boat going around with cameras. And it turned out they were shooting Creep too.
Yep.
That's fun. I guess you got to shoot everything somewhere. My point is, I really didn't like Creep. I don't think it's enough to support one movie, let alone 2 movies and a series. And I never, ever, ever do this. In my life, I've only walked out of 2 movies, but I had the equivalent of this. I instinctively noped out and closed the tab. I didn't watch the trailer. As soon as I saw that it was the Mark Duplass doing Creep again, I got like full body cringe, cannot watch, secondhand embarrassment. No, don't do that. That's silly to do, you fool.
So, yeah, this is a mini series.
And
or
I like
a
the
series.
Duplass brothers. I don't know why it bugs me so much.
Well, I mean, here's what I'll say is, so yeah.
It's the laziest. It's a like found footage home video of a guy who's a creep. Like he just improvs being a jerk.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, more than a jerk, I would argue. But
well,
yes,
I'm trying to avoid saying creep 50 times, but one thing I can compliment it on is the title is apt. It's just the guy being a creep. That is what it is.
When I watched the first Creep,
I watched the first. I watched both. Yeah.
So my thoughts on Creep is, I actually thought the first Creep was really good in the sense that it's a really good performance. It is a very uncomfortable and downright scary film that's built on like just one guy being deeply fucking uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was really good, and I'm glad I watched it. And then the world was like, so here's Creep 2, and I said, no thanks.
Especially
I've
because
had
my
enough
main
Creep.
thing about the first one was they knew how to be creepy. They had no idea what they were building toward or how to end it. He just comes out with a wolf mask and then kills the guy that we're following, and it's like, well, that wasn't enough for how
There was
seemed like it was building towards something more than that.
The first Creep was also ambiguous, where you're not sure. Like that's sort of the point where you're like, is this guy like
a creep or do I
is
love
he a
this
creep?
guy?
And so that's all to say. It was enough. It was enough. It was a lot already. The first Creep. I do feel like I'm like, great work. That was, that was successfully creepy. And yeah, I just don't. Again, 2 was too much, and now they're like, here's a series, and it's like, I can't. I don't know why I would,
Yeah.
So if people are excited for this, then good for, good for them, because I don't think Creep is bad. I just think it very effectively did the thing.
Also,
that one
you're
time,
right
and I don't want to do that again. I don't want to do it again.
Because that was the whole line they were playing is, that could still be innocent, that could still be innocent, but it's a horror movie, so it's probably not, but maybe that's the fake out. And then halfway through, you're like, no, this guy's a creep. Starting Creep 2, you're like, well, there's the creep, the famous creep. And now he's just a horror killer with no thing.
Yeah.
Like, he's just a guy who kills people.
It's the concept of creep feels like it's what if Michael Scott would kill you, right?
Because it's cringe comedy with such a focus on the cringe that it becomes horror instead of comedy. That's the gimmick.
Right. Which again, I think is as an exercise really interesting, and I was able to do once. But it's sort of like the Human Centipedes in a way, where I haven't seen any of those because I'm just like, no, I don't need to be grossed out, you know? Like, there's a visceral response to it that I'm like, this is very well done. Amazing performance. It's designed to make me uncomfortable, and guess what? I'm uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to watch it anymore. I don't know. But good for them, I guess.
And that's rare for me, dude. I'm over here watching Trash Humpers and Slow Torture Puke Room, so.
Mm-hmm. Well, those are just classics.
Slow Torture Puke Chamber, forgive me. Torture heads.
Final trailer. Straightforward, folks. This is Werewolves. It's about werewolves.
Here we go again.
Our second Werewolves. Tom sent me this one. It's what's his name? It's Punisher there. It's Frank Grillo. I will say this has like one of the most obvious premises to werewolves that I've never seen. And that is to say that it's about a world where werewolves are now like a zombie outbreak.
Post-apocalypse
because you forget.
werewolves.
Yeah.
Yeah, what if half of us were werewolves? Let's have a war.
But then what that also combines with is that, well, that's only on a full moon. So it's the purge, too. It's the idea of like, God, every fucking full moon, we all have to fucking buckle up.
Right, it's tower
and
defense. Like, then we get to rebuild society for 20 days and then fucking buckle up. It's wolf time. Yeah.
And this is essentially just like a silly action horror.
It feels like Frank Grillo Punisher movies. It's going for, we're gonna have a fun time. Oh no.
Yeah, it's like Deep Blue Sea. It's like a shark movie, you know,
Totally.
where it's like all we have to do is be fun enough for drunk people to watch.
Yeah.
And I will do that.
I do want to point out that I forget, it was on a Gamefully pod, but you guys were talking about some movie where a werewolf like is on the moon or something, and Abe was marveling at how singularly creative that was. And it's not, but I gotta shout out one of my favorite moments in all media is Scud issue 11, where a robot gets a human arm grafted onto them, but it turns out the guy they got it from is a werewolf, so just their arm is a werewolf. And then they find out he's an astronaut on the International Space Station, so they go to space to get their robot arm back, and basically the villain ends up naked in space orbiting the moon, so he continuously reforms and then depressurizes and reforms, because werewolves have healing factor. It's pretty fucked up.
That is pretty fucked up. I like it, though.
Love it.
I like a good werewolf. I think
I like a werewolf in space, dude.
Oh, yeah. We had a brief phase where we were doing we went back to Mystery of the Werewolf. Like there was The Wolf of Hollow Creek. There was a few that came out a few years ago where they went back to the idea of like, who's the werewolf? You know what I mean? Like that. You forget that werewolves are a mystery genre.
Yeah,
where
it's gonna suddenly.
Yeah,
but then this is focusing on the other part of the lore, which is we always don't talk about, or sometimes we don't talk about. They bite you, and you are one now. What if that ad nauseum? Let's focus on that. Yeah,
and this feels more on the side of like, let's just make monster movies again.
Yeah,
to its credit, it might be because I always think about Neil Marshall, who made films that like you assumed were like straight to DVD films, and they were more like John Carpenter films. He made Doomsday. He made Dog Soldiers, which is a werewolf movie. And this could be something like that for all we know. But it just seems like a straight up, let's just have fun with some fucking werewolves.
I can see the shots in my head of werewolves getting fitfully lit by the muzzle flare of AR-15s as they jump 3/4 at screen.
Yeah.
And Frank Grillo screams. It'll be a fun time.
Yeah, I think so. I hope it, like, the worst it could be is boring, you know?
We could have skipped this whole segment by just saying, at the end of the trailer, Frank Grillo says, "Hey, Wolfie, bite me." Everyone understands the exact tone of the movie now.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. All right. Well, then we can move on. That's the last trailer. What did you put a screenshot in here?
Oh, that was the other
that?
thing that I thought was so spot on, but also funny. A wolf holds a guy up in one of the brief shots that's only half a second long, like what's his name, Bane, holding Batman up to break his back over his knee, but the guy is firing nonstop into the air whilst going like,
that's pretty great.
He's firing up into the air, away from the werewolf. There's no point to continue pulling the trigger, is what struck me.
No, yeah, why?
He's just going, "Fuck you, God, for allowing me into this situation."
Who are you trying to hit at that point? Let's thank some more producers. Big old thank you to Chester's Prophet. Thank you very much. Thank you to Christopher Robert Sparks Esquire. Thank you to Dan Hackroyd. Thank you to David Ruff. Thank you to David Knife.
That's the werewolf,
Henson. Thank you to Deborah's Awesome. Barbara's Great and Cancer Can Go to Hell. Thank you to Dracula, the bus driving vampire. Thank you to Driftless Argento Presents Dawn of the Drift. Thank you to Exploding Runes. Thank you to Funky J Mostly Comes Out at Night. Mostly. Thank you to Heathcliff's Helping Handfuls.
Thank you to Highlander Likes the Way Tom says piss it.
Thank you.
Hombre. Thank you. I heard you were the last assistant manager of the last Hollywood video in the Wasteland. Thank you to Impossible Worlds. We have your Swaim, and we'll release him for the cost of your subscription. Mwahaha. I am sequentially releasing my next novel, chapter by chapter, in that it is a high fantasy Western novel. Check it out.
Awesome.
Thank you, Lieutenant Frank Drebin, Police Squad. Thank you. Look, Ma, I'm on a podcast. Thank you. Mackenzie, fuck shuffling with Willem Dafoe's confusingly large dick chill. Thank you, Mercurial Oz Perkins.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike the Lurker. Thank you, Mongolian throat skanking.
Thank you.
That's what I always imagine that sounds like. I don't know for sure. Thank you, musical guest Rob Ritchie.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Is
that it?
You.
Yeah, we did all.
Thank you. Yeah.
So they're remaking American Psycho with the director of the Suspiria remake and Challengers. Very good director. I don't know how I feel about this. What's your relationship to American Psycho?
Did see Suspiria remake, didn't think it was as good as Suspiria, did think it was all right. Hard thing to do, remake Suspiria, very ambitious.
Challengers was very good.
My other thing, I did hear good things. My other thing is that American Psycho, aside from I'm not knocking the performance at all and the sharpness of the writing, but that's a movie I also think of as culturally overrated as time has gone on, like a Fight Club. I think of it as kind of dumb, honestly, so I don't care about this.
I rewatched it recently and it made me respect it again. I read the book and I've seen the movie.
Good. It's been 12 years, so maybe I should revisit.
So the last time I watched it, I did it for a podcast and people can go back. I did it with Jason. People should go back and listen because I think what's fascinating about American Psycho and why I do not think it's a good idea to remake it is there's a reason the movie worked. And and part of that reason is the same reason it pissed off the author of the book because Bret Easton Ellis is not a great guy. And American Psycho, while a satire, the book kind of doesn't understand what it has, which is weird to say.
That's kind of why I thought it was overrated, and maybe I'm wrong, because we're always
So-
growing and learning. But my impression at the time, the last time I saw it, was you don't actually have a coherent take on capitalism. You just know how to sound like you do.
Right. This is kind of the question, because the director of the new one, I like Challengers. He's very good. But one of the things that made the original, that people don't realize so good, is the fact that it was directed by a woman. Mary Herron, she had kind of went after it in a very unique way. She had things to do about, like, the book is kind of shock value violence. And so she kind of said, like, well, we're not going to do that. We're going to do more of a satire. She fought so hard for Christian Bale. People don't realize this because everybody loves Christian Bale in this. The studios pushed Leonardo DiCaprio to the point that they fired her when she said, I'm not going to do this without Christian Bale.
Christian Bale nailed it. He's especially got the incisors for the role. But
Yeah.
I got to say, of all the people you could be like, and can you imagine it would have been so-and-so? I think, yes, he could have done that as well. It would have been
Right.
fine with Leo.
But here's why she didn't. So American Psycho also went through so many directors. They tried to make this for like a decade. I think Oliver Stone was attached, Danny Boyle, Scorsese. It was originally Oliver Stone and Leonardo DiCaprio. And I know that sounds appealing, but like, I think the key thing is the fact that the reason that this director, Mary Herron, was like ride or die Christian Bale. She said out of all the auditions, Christian Bale was the only person auditioned that understood immediately that Patrick Bateman was a loser. Everybody else, she said, tried to play him as a cool guy. And she was like, that's the fundamental issue.
And he was like, this guy's a dickhead, which is the correct take on that guy.
He's a misogynist dickhead who sucks and is a weird little sniveling
and is
coward.
only concerned with stuff that doesn't matter. Yeah.
Right. And it sounded like everything before it. I love, Oliver Stone. He's great. Leonardo DiCaprio is great. But it sounded like everybody before it thought they were making more of a Fight Club, where they're like, it's supposed to be more cool. And she was the only one who like saw this and went like, no, he's pathetic. And
He
Christian Bale was the other person who was like, he's pathetic.
That's
Yeah.
the point. Yeah.
And you watch that movie, he plays it as manic and weird and sweaty, and at no point is he cool. And so that's all to say that like what made that movie stand out, which I understand your argument that it might have been overrated at this point, which I could see that. But what made it stand out, I think, is the fact that this director and this actor put their unique flavor on it and sort of ignored the book and in fact pissed off the author. And I'm just not sure they'll do that again, right? Like,
yeah.
They'll be like, well, let's make it more like the book or something like that. And it's like, the book isn't that good. I don't know.
Yeah. It might be that deep in my heart, I'm essentially a gentleman. But as time goes on, I tend to fall out of love with movies that we all love because they're so sardonic. Like, because they're so mean-spirited, I lose interest in.
Yeah. But it is interesting if you rewatch it, because it is more of a comedy than it is anything else.
Oh, yeah.
And
that
the joke's more on him.
I get it. I get jokes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You do get jokes. That's true. I say that about you all the time. That's like when people ask what you're like. Yeah. Speaking of adapting things, Mike Flanagan is producing a Carrie series. I hope a mini series. I think he's writing it. I don't think he is directing it. I have never been disappointed by Mike Flanagan. I'm a big fanboy.
Yeah, I know that about you.
That said, I'm not sure we need a long Carrie.
I watched Carrie for Kings of King not too long ago, our Stephen King adaptation podcast, and it does hold up as a film. The film is well made, but as far as Stephen King premises go, I feel like it's becoming super dated. Like we've done so much more complex things with telepathy and kind of superhero, quasi superheroes feeling like misfits and snapping. We've actually done that a lot at this point. So it's not the fault of Carrie, but it feels like going back to a pretty basic version of the thing. Anything can be well executed, right? If he makes amazing points about these themes, fine,
Right.
that's all well and good. But personally, when I hear you fanboy out about Flanagan, it always hurts my heart. I don't know why I want my friends to agree with me on some level. On the conscious level, I don't give a shit. But on some level, I'm like, why don't I also like that? What's wrong with me? But I was looking at a list of about 20 Flanagan movies, and for me, six hit out of 20. I think of him as a C- dude in terms of reliably good.
What I like about
Man,
him,
I hated that boring ass vampire one where they're all vampires in the town.
Really? Oh, I love that
Mass,
one.
Black Mass, Midnight Mass.
I like him because he reminds me of Stephen King, honestly. Because the way he writes is he explores something more than you'd assume he would. I think his strength is as a writer. I think in terms of a horror director, he's pretty, like, I've said this so many times. He's not trying to reinvent anything. That's
my problem. I'm a novelty whore, so I'm like, well, Jordan Peele runs circles around him in terms of like horror with metaphor, because Jordan Peele's also throwing imagery at me where I go, I've never seen that ever. That's huge points for me.
See, I like Mike Flanagan can make me feel sad and like can be bittersweet and make a horror thing.
Yeah.
And I just think that's really, I don't know. I really like, I'm really picking up what he's putting down. And then Kate Siegel, who is in a lot of his stuff, who I believe they're married, she was just directed the VHS segment that he wrote, and that was really good. I feel like maybe she should be involved in this.
I also truly thought until today that was the same person as Katie Seagal, the voice of Leela. I was so happy to find out that she was like so multi-talented. I'm like, that's awesome for her. Yeah.
That would have been incredible. Yeah, I don't know. If this is a mini series, then I'm like, yeah, I can see what this will be. For me though, I don't know if this is a hot take. I really liked the 2013 one with the director of Boys Don't Cry and Chloe Grace Moretz, whatever, and Julianne Moore. I thought that one was really good. And I do think, going back to American Psycho, like I like the De Palma one, but it is very like from a dude perspective. And this is, kind of, it's a film or a story about a teenage girl. So it makes sense to have someone who perhaps was a teenage girl work on it. And like, I don't think that it has to be, obviously, but that's all to say. I really liked the 2013 Carrie, and I'm kind of like, I don't know what else there needs to be done here.
I think everyone, for representation's sake, should be exactly what they are fictionally.
Mm-hmm.
The director of this should be a young girl with psychic powers.
A teenage girl, yeah. Well, that's the thing, is it's about being bullied more than anything, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah.
It's the horror of, I feel like I know she does go to school, but if you know what I mean, she has big homeschooling vibes. It's the horror of being the weird kid from a family that sucks and you have to blend into society and kids are assholes.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm obviously going to check this out. It's just surprising to me. I think we're in a moment right now where people are like, it feels like the 90s again, where we're just scooping up every Stephen King thing again.
Sure.
And that's fine. I'm fine with that.
We'll be doing that for 30 years after he's dead at least. He's sticking around, or like his legacy is assured for a while.
But we do it in waves, I feel like. And we're in another wave. Yeah. And on that subject, Edgar Wright is making The Running Man. A re-adaptation. I assume it's not going to be like the Arnold one, but who knows? It has Glenn Powell, your favorite, and Josh Brolin.
Who is my favorite? Josh Brolin is a god.
Yeah. This is news where if you took any one element, for me, like if someone told me Glenn Powell's going to be in a Running Man, I'd be like, cool. Or like Josh Brolin's going to be in a Running Man, I'd be like, neat. Or Edgar Wright's going to do a Running Man, I'd be like, that's okay. But the combination of the three, for some reason, I'm like, that's the best news I've ever heard in my life.
I agree. Because Edgar Wright, of course, at one time was my number one. Oh my God, the Cornetto trilogy. This guy is the comedy action sci-fi messiah, and those are all of my favorite things. Hot Fuzz remains like, I think, S tier movie making. And then he made other movies that are perfectly good. Scott Pilgrim, I just don't like what Scott Pilgrim is about. Like, I don't care about the teen drama of it all. But Scott Pilgrim,
it's about a guy who I don't care for.
Right. And I even like Michael Cera. But Scott Pilgrim is still, to me, mind-blowing to watch because of the Edgar Wrightness of it all. Yes. Then he started to lose me with the baby one. Baby Driver. And then Last Night in Soho, again, there's just something where I'm like, he's still doing the complexity and the like, you know, same thing as saying Michel Gondry's still doing the Michel Gondry thing, but the stories aren't as, like, I don't care about Scott Pilgrim and I don't care about Last Night in Soho, really. Like, this, what's happening in them is not engaging enough. So my point being, this gives me great hope as like, I bet this could be an Edgar Wright banger, an S tier Edgar Wright, which would be amazing.
Yeah, there's a few things at play. I think there is a novelty aspect, and what I mean, like you mentioned, Michel Gondry, where when you first watch it, you're like, I've never seen anything like this before, and then a few times pass, and you go like, okay, I've seen it.
Well,
you know, like,
I mean, to me,
it's good.
It's the incredible attention to detail. I think a lot of our listeners will have seen the Every Frame of Painting series where they break down how there's these less than 1 second transitional shots where you can freeze frame and break down so much environmental storytelling is happening in these single flashes that he is an incredible man in terms of his thoroughness and creativity.
And he made 3 films that, in my opinion, are perfect.
And spaced.
The other key component, though, to that is Simon Pegg, who co-wrote all 3 of those,
absolutely, right? And you feel the loss.
Yes.
He brought the very human, likable, charming humor.
And I think
that
when
is lacking.
Yeah, and I think when you remove that, his newer movies are just less comedy.
But what's funny is Simon Pegg's scripts, I would argue, also do not shine nearly at the same level without the Edgar Wright. It is a Beatles broke up kind of thing. Because like Paul, that one where he's an alien, I don't think he actually wrote the script, but I'm just saying Simon Pegg comedies since then have been fine.
Right. And I will say I really liked Last Night in Soho. I really like Edgar Wright as a director. I'm really excited for The Running Man. It's not, I can't even, I feel weird saying like, they dropped off. It's more of like, it was just this perfect moment, right? Of these 2 people. And not just 2, you know, all the performers getting together to make these amazing comedies. And I think Edgar Wright since then has just been less interested in comedy, right? He's doing more action, more horror.
I also think
Scott Pilgrim, by the way, has some funny fucking parts,
yes,
too.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
And I think he's feeling himself as, I might be in it. Because he got into that conversation. I think he's like, I might be a historically important director. I should do some films that will last. Yeah.
And so that's all to say that, like, in my head, like, and I'm sure you agree with this, where it's like, he made those 3 perfect films. Nothing has ever been the same. But every time I voice that, I think, like, counterpoint, fuck me, you know, like I don't know.
Well,
what the fuck do I want from him?
Well, like I'm saying,
he made
all
3
I can
perfect
say
films,
is,
and he's off trying stuff, and it's like good for him, you know, like.
And even the new stuff, like Last Night in Soho, all I can say is I walked out of it knowing that I would forget it soon, and indeed I did, and I didn't fall in love with it. At the same time, I absolutely remember while watching it, the directing is still just as good as ever. Like, he's just as good at what he does. It was just a dream team lightning in a bottle thing.
Yeah, and like, honestly, you look at any classic director, it's like, do you remember like the random Scorsese films he made in the 90s? You know, like where it's
you
like,
got to find your perfect people.
Right. And it's just like, yeah, I guess let him grow and explore, and make the Running Man, because I think this is, I don't know, kind of perfect. Because fuck it, right? I don't know why you'd adapt. I forget what the actual Running Man story is, because like it's not the Schwarzenegger version, right?
Not tonally, but the basic plot is yeah.
Okay.
In the future,
So
there's
like
a dystopian death game. It's basically just, Roman Colosseum fighting comes back, like distract the public from the fact that they're poor and oppressed.
All right.
This average guy that we root for gets stuck in it, and we hope that he'll do well. And indeed, he ends up dismantling the entire corrupt system.
All right. Well, yeah, that sounds cool.
By running so good.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds pretty fucking fun.
Yeah.
And for Edgar Wright, man, that's...
Especially if they do, which is not from the book as far as I recall, but something the movie did, which I kind of hope Edgar Wright does allow himself to do, is the themed fighters, like in the Mortal Kombat sense, where guys like, I am the opera light bulb fighter.
That's the thing is I'm like, you know what? Remake
Sort of
the
Power
Schwarzenegger
Rangers.
one. I don't give a fuck. I hope they use that song, the fucking Restless Heart song.
They should do it like that, they should do that postmodern thing we do where it's old Schwarzenegger as himself being like, I was the governor and now this.
Yep. We could actually, so there's a retro to bring back there. And I know I'm scared that we're skipping over it because I feel like we've gotten to 2000s retro, but like the late 80s into 90s, like this movie, the original Running Man and also like Johnny Mnemonic, that retro where it's like we're going into cyberspace. It's like Virtual Boy, like hackers retro.
To circle back to the top of the episode, existed. I feel like the one that had the interesting robot art, whose name escapes, the Russo brothers one, has some of that because it's got I really liked the shot of because presumably it's in the future, but people are using VR headsets, but the VR headsets are clunkier and shittier than the current ones we have now.
Yeah.
And look like Viewmasters, the old toy. Like they're intentionally reminiscent of that.
Yeah, like I don't want VHS retro. We have that. I want someone to take out a little CD. Remember when that was impressive?
Oh, yeah.
Where they take out like a 1-inch
my dad
CD.
Bought movies, as in not, blank tape to film with, but movies on high-8 tape. So like we would watch them by putting them into our camcorder, which was plugged into the TV. That's so weird to me now in retrospect. That's how I watch Rock-a-Doodle-Doo.
I think it's Cartridge Punk or something like that would be what it technically is. Yeah, like
Cassette
I think there's
punk.
Cassette Punk, where it's like, VHS, we're done with it. Like I want that awkward stage between where we were like, what's the next thing? And we didn't nail it.
Instead of cogs and gears and steampunk, it's chunky plastic and a Sony Walkman and shit like that.
Yeah, give me that.
Dude, remember the headphones that were very common? There were just a sharp metal strip with a hard circular foam pad on either end.
Oh yeah, those suck.
Those are great.
Oh man. Everything sucked back then.
Yeah, we just didn't manufacture stuff as well.
Yeah.
It makes you imagine like medieval people's shoes. It just must have been so awful.
The worst.
Just useless. Yeah, may as well be barefoot.
Yeah. Did you ever get a Talk Boy? Did you have a Talk Boy?
No. Is that the thing where you went to the movie and you got a large soda and there was a little disc under the cap that played a single song?
No, it was the thing that Mac had in Home Alone 2. The little tape recorder, the Talk Boy, and they sold it briefly. It would slow down your voice and it would it was like it was supposed to be the future.
We had the Casio keyboard you could record and then the keys would play whatever you recorded. So you could fart into it and then it would play farts at every tone on the keyboard. God, hours of fun with that thing.
Oh yeah. Ooh, there's used Talk Boys. They're still expensive. All right, we should move on. We should thank some more producers, right? Big old thank you to Norm from Cheers.
Norm.
Thank you. Thank you to Numino Ultra Microscopic Silico Volcanoconiosis Anti-Disestablishmentarianism Jones. Thank you. Thank you to Psychic Bigfoot. Thank you to Pumpkin Spiced Ed Nog. Thank you to Rev MD. Thank you to Ricky Cilantro. Thank you to Robert. Thank you to Rosemary's Baby from Eraserhead. Thank you to Screaming Horse Pyramid. Thank you to Sorry Cop, world's most laughable centrist. Thank you to Steven. Thank you to the conveniently placed self-destruct button on the top of every baby's head. Thank you.
I really want to. I'm not going to do it to you. We do patronize you from our, as I think you do back, but I really wanted to get my name on here as Flossy Nasi Nihilipilification, the conveniently placed self-destruct button on the top of every baby from Eraserhead's head. I've been thinking about that for years.
Yeah, we'd have to find a way to fuck you back.
Mm-hmm.
We'd find it.
Oh, yeah, my turn. Thank you, the Midnight Spookum. What spookums at midnight? Thank you, the Municipal Medicinal Arsonist. Thank you, the Oatmeal Savage. Thank you, the To Be Terror Bunny thinks you could use more Rutger Hauer in your media diet. Thank you, these 7 Bs.
Thank you,
Tiger, Drawers, Pratt, Thompson, Sings, Raindrops keep falling on my head. Thank you, Tip Drizzle, the other name that will always be with me till the day I die.
Yeah,
Thank
Tip
you,
Drizzle.
Tom's Babies Neat.
Thank you.
Do we have a name on? Maybe I shouldn't ask that on mic. Some parents. Anyway, I don't know Tom's baby's name. Thank you, Tux. Thank you, Vincent with a Y. Thank you, Yorgos from the island of Crete.
Thank you,
your mom.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll tell you the name later.
Okay.
Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Mike.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear about a movie that deserves more hype?
Glenn? Is this name Glenn? Blink if it's Glenn.
I'm going to tell you about a movie that deserves more hype.
Dave, tell me about a movie that deserves more hype.
I was searching for something that was coming out soon, and I just couldn't. So I landed on this because this looks gnarly as shit. It looks like Pain from beginning to end. So if you like that, if you like the segment in Event Horizon where they go to hell, this is called 1978. It's in festivals right now. I hope it's out soon.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. It really just looks like, I understand that it turns, and that's the joy. It's like Third House on the Left, like, oh, they get theirs by the end. But the trailer is just
pain,
guys suffering.
It's pain,
like,
and then they're like, but wait,
so would that.
There's more pain.
yeah, that would also hurt. And yet compelling. Like, I am interested.
Oh yeah, I'm interested, but I know I have to be in a certain mood. So it's based off a real time and place. It's Argentina during the military.
Wait. You're telling me 1978 Argentina is real?
Yeah, no,
Crazy.
apparently. It's about people who working for a military dictatorship, like a group of soldiers who kidnap a group of people who they think are
commies.
commies.
Yeah, it's the Red Menace. We gotta suppress these people.
And they begin to torture them in horrific ways that apparently are historically accurate.
To try and get the names of other suspected communists, naturally.
Yeah, and they're doing horrific tortures on these people. And in what I would call a comical twist, they find out that they kidnapped the wrong people.
Their boss calls and goes like, Django Unchained.
Yeah. Big boss calls and goes like, hey, what's going on, man? You're not. I can see those people. They're not being tortured. Why aren't you tortured? And they're like, fuck, well, who are we torturing? And they turn out to be a cult worshipping some sort of satanic god?
Right. A cult who are right. Their religion is correct. That demon will come and help them out if they ask.
Yeah, and that's essentially what happens is the cult is like, wait till
my
Daddy
big
comes
brother
home.
fucking gets here.
Yeah.
He's going to lick you.
and these torturers end up being tortured themselves by what appears to be a bunch of hellish imagery and monsters and people creeping around. It again, Event Horizon hellish imagery. So it goes from torture to even worse torture in the trailer. The reviews, there's only one review that I found, and the review seemed to like it. They talked about how it sort of, the moral dynamics change. They never say these torturers are actually good. They never do that, for the record.
No, but they do say the people being tortured have their own drama and dark secrets, and it becomes more complex than blah.
Which makes sense, because they are, in fact, weird Satanists.
Because they're not I mean, they may incidentally be communists, but that's not their core identity. So, like, what do they have going on? I'm sure we'll find out.
Yeah. So that's all to say that, like, as the narrative unfolds, like, everything sort of, the morality shifts, and, like, good and bad, and who's on the right side. It doesn't seem like it shakes out with anybody on the right side, to be honest.
No, it's just pain, flames up the side of my face. Yeah.
It just seems like a very brutal movie with some really music video-esque imagery that I think looks gnarly and neat. And
but not sensationalist pain like Hostel, more gritty, handheld. Oh, it looks like real footage of a guy being tortured, essentially.
Right. So not for everyone. I'm gonna say.
But the people who went, oh, cool, like you know who you are.
Yeah, like I feel like
I'm one. I like shit like this.
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain demographic of people who, for perhaps like the movie Audition, who are I love showing other people Audition. Yeah,
and I love me some Pixar. It's a big world.
Exactly. So that's it.
That's that.
1978. Check out the trailer if you can stomach it. Looks really fucking gory. Looks really gnarly. Looks really like weird and satanic. It deserves more hype.
It's gnarly, Charlie.
Gnarly Charlie, as they say.
Yeah, my catchphrase that I've said thousands of times.
Yeah. And we did it. Right? That's Hypecast. Indeed.
Yeah. In lieu of a second plug, can I suggest a movie that deserves more hype?
Oh, please.
I literally can't find it online. I watched it on a plane, and I am fuzzy enough in my memory and unfortunately racist enough in my unchecked biases that I'm just going to say it's Asian. I don't want to pinpoint what country.
I was really hoping you'd be like, it's a map of the U.S.
No,
and
I'm
this
not
little
sure
plane symbol slowly moves across it.
I believe it's Chinese or Korean. I'm sorry, but it's called Concrete Utopia. I watched it on a plane. I've literally tried to find it again, and I can't find a way to watch it online. But if you can find a way to watch it, I super recommend it. It's about, and there's an apocalyptic earthquake, and there's like only one apartment building left standing in the area. And it's literally just the people who live there. Like, there's not enough food for everyone, and the people who live there become a fascist death squad to keep the people who are outside out, and things unfold from there. It's like a 1984 more.
So it's on Viki.
Okay.
You can rent it on Viki.
Oh, yeah. I did find a place you could pay for it, but I didn't. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'll check that out.
Double hype.
That sounds really good. Double hype. I love a good double hype. And we did it. Are you sure you don't want to plug anything? Plug your...
Small beans.
Okay.
My novel's called The Climb. It's the most artistically ambitious thing I've done in my life so far, so I will be pushing it for a long time.
Yeah, that's saying a lot, because you've done a lot of ambitious things. So.
Yes, but that one felt like giving birth, or like as close as I'll get. It's not like a, hey, let's just jaunt around and have fun. It's my attempt at the great American novel, or saying something important, whatever that means to you.
That's pretty great. People check it out.
But it is funny. It is jokes all the way through, to be clear.
Yes. And I'll quickly plug patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. Also gamefullyunemployed.com. You can get a link to our merch store and review us wherever you get your podcasts.
Ooh, can I ask, can I plug
Yeah.
Small Beans has been around for, I think, 7 years-ish now at this point. And for the last 4 years on iTunes, we have been stuck at 975 reviews. I'm dying to get to 1K. And we never ask. That's why, because it just does slips people's mind. If you like us, can you head over and also give Small Beans a review? I don't care if you give it 1 star. I just want to get to 1K. It bothers my OCD.
Do it. I get that.
Thank you.
I absolutely get that. I'll try to leave a review if I can think to do that.
Yeah, bring that average down, homie.
I mean, I probably already reviewed it. Can you review things twice? Is that like voter fraud?
It does track that and not. Yeah, you can't.
Motherfuckers. Hey, listen, our music is produced by Chris Corlew. You can find him on twitter.com as the Corlew or go to shipwreckedsailor.bandcamp.com. Our channel artwork is produced by Michael Vincent Bramley. For more of his work, go to mvbramley.art. Our episode artwork is by Justin Brown, available on Twitter as Justin T. Brown or at artistbyjustinbrown.com. And finally, additional artwork is by Starlene Hodge. You can find her work at starlenearts.com or on Twitter as StarleneX. Cool. Goodbye.